This is a tutorial on how to use GIMP in order to resize your images. Let's say that you've taken an image with your digital camera or perhaps with your cell phone. That image is probably going to be way too big for the web page. It's going to be a couple thousand pixels across or maybe tall, and it'll probably be at least a couple of megabytes. You want your image to be probably only between 300 and 600 pixels wide, and you want it to be under 100 kilobytes in size. Otherwise, it might take too long to load. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open an image. So go to the File menu and Open, and you can choose your image from wherever it is that you saved them. When you click on the image that you want, you see a preview over here, and it also tells you the size in bytes and in pixels. So we can see that this one is way too big. So let's open it. It'll open up in a new window, and then we can resize that to be exactly what we want. Now, before we resize it, we might want to touch it up a little bit. Maybe it's not exactly the way that we want it to be. So, for example, we could go to the Colors menu, and there are many things we can do here. An easy thing to do would be to go to the Auto section and say Color Enhance. This will automatically read the image and try to make the colors look a little bit brighter and a little bit better. You can see that I've improved the colors here a bit. You can also do all of these things manually. In the Colors menu, you can go to Color Balance, in which you can fix problems with color, going from blue or purple, yellow, red, green, blue. For example, let's say that I want to make the image much more green. I can just pull it across here, and you can see that it changes the color values. You can affect only the shadows, the midtones, or the highlights of the image if you want. Another thing that you can do is that you can change the hue or saturation. Now, when you change the hue, it'll change all the colors according to a certain scheme. You might want to use this if you're going for an Andy Warhol effect or something like that. But something that you might want to use more than that is the saturation. The saturation allows you to create stronger colors. So if you want stronger colors than you had before, then you might want to use this. Usually this is done automatically by the Color Auto Enhance. So I'm going to say OK. Now we've really got a very colorful picture here. Another thing that you can do is that you can change the brightness and contrast. So that means that you can make the picture either darker or lighter, depending on how much it's been exposed. Or you can make it more washed out, or you can make the colors contrast much more sharply. I'm not going to change anything. I like the brightness and contrast the way they are right now. If you feel that the image is not level, that one side is too high and the other side is too low, you can go over to your toolbar and you can click Rotate. When you click anywhere on your picture, the Rotate window dialog box will come up, and then you can click and drag in order to make your photograph whatever rotation or angle that you prefer. I'm going to cancel because this image does not really need rotation. Alright, so after you're done trying to fix up the image and make it look better, then you want to resize it. Now there's actually a few ways that you can do this. The first thing that you probably want to do is crop it. This image is nice, but I really don't need all of this grass and all of these trees around here. My main subject is the building, so I'd like to cut off the edges a little bit. You can do this by clicking on the Rectangle Select tool, then choosing the area that you would like to have in your finished image. So I might want just that part. So now I've selected this area of the image. Now, if you go to the Image menu, you can choose Crop to Selection. When you do that, the parts that you did not include in the box will be cut out. So this is one way of reducing the size of the image. But still, it's really much too large. If we take a look in the title bar, we'll see that it's actually still 1,725 by 1350 pixels. We want this number to be down about maybe 400 or 500. So the next thing we want to do is we want to scale the image. Again, go to the Image menu and choose Scale Image. This allows you to choose what width and height you'd like. Now you'll notice that there's a chain here. If you break the chain, then each of these can be adjusted separately. But you really don't want to do that. You want the chain to be here so that whenever you change this number will automatically be changed in the correct proportion. So if I want my image to be 500 pixels wide, I just type in that and then I hit Tab or click somewhere, and then this number will change accordingly. So now I can say Scale, and you can see the image is much smaller. What we see here is not the actual size of the image. It was made smaller so that it would fit in our screen. If you go to the View menu, you can see that right now it's at 33%. If you want, you can set it to be either 100%, or you could set it to fit in the image or whatever other setting you like. So I'm going to make it 100%, and this is what the image should look like when we're finished. So now we've actually gotten rid of a lot of the image. Instead of being more than 2,000 pixels wide, it's now only 500 pixels wide. We've cropped out the areas that we don't want. And we've fixed up the image in terms of colors and things like that. So one thing remains, and that is to save the image. When we save the image, we can compress it even further. Now in GIMP, if you just save the image normally, it will save it in a strange file type, one that you probably haven't seen very much, XCF. This is a GIMP file type, but we're not going to use that. We want to use this for web pages, so that won't do. Instead, we have to go to Export. So when you click Export, you'll get a new dialog box. This will first ask you where it is that you want to save it. I'm going to save mine on the desktop. Next, it asks you what the image name is going to be. I want to call this Old Main because that's what the image is. Now I've got mine set to JPEG, but your version of GIMP might be trying to save it as a different thing. It might be trying to save it, for example, as a GIF or a PNG or something else. So you want to make sure that you're saving this as a JPEG image. So make sure that you click on this Select File Type, make sure that it's selected as a JPEG image. Now you'll see that we have this as oldmain.jpg. The next step comes when we click Export. So go ahead and export, and then you'll be given a few other choices to make. Now this is where we do the compression. The compression allows us to make the image smaller, but we lose a little bit of quality. Now actually, you can go down all the way to about 60% without losing very much quality at all. If I compress it this way, I can probably save about maybe 50, 60, even 80% of the image size, but I lose almost no quality. If I go down much below there, like 30, 40, or 50, I'm going to lose enough quality that people who look at the image will say, that image looks a little bit strange. So probably you don't want to go below 60 unless there's some really strong reason to do so. So you don't really have to take a look at these advanced options. You can just set the quality and then click Export. So I'm going to click Export, and now we've saved the image. So in order to see what we've done with the image, I'm going to take a look at it. Here it is right here. Now remember, our original image was 2.6 megabytes in size. Let's see how big this one is. This one is now 53 kilobytes. So you've just saved a lot of space. You don't have to resize it in your browser. You can just give the dimensions for what they are. The dimensions are 500 by 391. So when you put this in a web page, you just have to type, width equals 500, height equals 391. And since it's so small, 53 kilobytes, it's not going to cause problems with loading. So that's how you would use GIMP in order to adjust and save an image so that it's the right size, both in pixels and in bytes.